Hey, hello friends, and welcome to this new Flutter tutorial. And in this tutorial we'll be learning about how to integrate Flutter Firebase into your Flutter project, and how to create basic authentication inside the project. So for starting, I have these few screens, that is the login screen and the main screen in the project, and I have this main.dart file that is given to you by any new Flutter project. So I have this void main function with the basics. The home is having the login screen to start with, the login screen widget. The login screen here is just a simple stateful widget. If you don't know what a stateful widget is, you can see my previous videos. You'll get a good knowledge about what it is and how it works. So this stateful widget has two variables, email and password, and the UI contains text fields, two text fields with the a hint text of password and email, and a raised button. So the raised button will be the sign in button that you can see here, and the two fields are here. So basically what we will do is when the user logs in the application, opens the application, we'll check whether the Firebase authentication is already done. That means whether the user is already signed in or not. If the user is signed in, he can directly go to the main screen, which is another screen that is a stateless widget, because it just displays a logout function, a logout button, and when the user will click this button, he'll be logged out of the application. And there is the login screen, as I told you before. So right now none of the buttons do anything. If I type anything here and type anything here and sign in, so nothing happens. You can see it's just a blank project, and I have already integrated the Firebase into this project. I'll just show you what files you need to place where. So that's basically simple, so I don't want to go into in-depth tutorial about just integrating the Firebase. I'll just show you what files you need to place in the project. So I have this Flutter project here, a Firebase project here. So this is a simple project. You can just create your own by going to firebase.google.com and signing into your Google account. So there you'll go into this project, and in the authentication section you need to enable this sign-in method, the email and password that we'll be talking about, and then create a simple user ID by clicking on this add user and filling in the email and password. So that's quite simple. I have just created one for our demo purposes, because we won't be creating the sign up process in the application. I hope you can do that by yourself. There's no big deal in that also. So all you need to do in the Firebase project is this, and when you go to the project overview, the project you create, you go to the project overview and you can add a new application. You can see that I've added this one. When you add a new application, it will prompt you for whether it is an iOS, Android, or web app. So I don't know much about iOS, so I'll be going for the Android one. For the package name, you must go to your Flutter project, and in the Android directory, you can go to the project, not the main build.gradle file. This build.gradle file is for the whole project. Okay, so you don't want to go here right now. You want to go to the app build.gradle file, and you can check out the application ID. This is the package name that you want to fill here. And once you register the app, you can get a Google JSON file, the config file for your Firebase, to integrate that to the application. Once you download the file, you have to add this to the app folder here. In the Android, you have to add this to the app folder. You can see that my Google services.json is already added. Once you get the file, you need to add that file to the app folder, like this. Okay, so this files contain information regarding the project, and that's all. So to read this file, you also need to add this you also need to add this Google Services API. Okay, so this one needs to be added to the main build.gradle file that is for the whole project. Okay, not the module one. You need to add this to the build.gradle file that is outside, just inside the Android directory. Okay, so make sure you have this one or this version, because the older versions do have some errors, so don't use those ones right now. And one more thing, you need to update your Flutter SDK because after the launch of Android X, there are some dependency issues that you can run into. So I suggest you to keep everything up to date to get the Firebase working in a proper way. Okay, so, and also you need to keep your application version to the target version to 28. Don't get below 28 because it just creates some random errors. There's no particular solution to that, but I'm just warning you regarding that stuff. So once you add these files, the Google Services file and this Google Services API, then you are ready to go mostly. So everything is basically everything is done. And now in the pubspec.yaml file, you need to go to the dependencies, not the dev dependencies. You need to go to the dependencies and then add Firebase auth. So this will add the Firebase plugin for Flutter here. So add just Firebase auth and you're ready to go. Okay, don't forget to do package upgrade, because you need to download the package also. So okay, so this was just the basic steps to just add the Flutter add Firebase to your Flutter project. So this is just the simple steps to do that. And now in the main.dar file, here comes the main portion of the tutorial. So let's clear this up. And the first thing that we need to do is, I do have these main screen and the login screen. So you will need to create these two. Just the basic layout. There's not much difficult. There's not anything difficult to do here. Just two text fields and a button. And here's just a button that is in the center of the screen. I'll show that to you later. Now in the main screen, we need to detect whether the user is already logged in or not. Okay. So first, what we need to do is we want to import the Firebase auth. So once you add the Firebase Authentication plugin to your Flutter app, you'll be able to get this recommendation here, like Firebase auth.dar. You need to add this file here, import this file here. So what I will do is I'll create a simple method that will return a widget. And let me call this method handle window display. So what this method will do is it will check whether the user is already signed in or not, and depending upon the results of that, it will show user whether a loading sign or either a login screen or the main screen. Okay, so it will choose whether to show the user with the login screen or the main screen. So for that, what we will do is we want to return a stream builder. Okay, so we want to return a stream builder. To return a stream builder, and within the stream builder, we want to have a builder that will take build context, and a snapshot. Now this snapshot will basically come from Firebase. So I'll add the stream. The stream will be Firebase auth.instance. We'll get the instance of the Firebase auth and on auth state changed. Okay, so basically what we're doing here is we're checking the stream of on auth state changed. Okay, and as the stream changes, whether it gets the data or it doesn't, so accordingly the builder will build a widget and it will display that on the screen. So what we will do is instead of just statically displaying the login screen here, we'll display handle window display. Okay, we'll add handle window display. So when the app runs, it basically checks for the Firebase auth. It basically instantiates the Firebase, gets the instance of the Firebase auth, and then checks for the auth state. If the user is logged in, then we will show the main screen, or else we'll show the login screen. And for the loading time that this whole process takes, we'll show a loading text on the screen. So what we'll do here is we'll check if snapshot.connection state is equal to connection state dot waiting. Then we'll just simply return a new centered text of loading. Okay, so we'll create a new center and add a child, and we'll keep it text, and we'll say loading. So this will just be a basic loading text, nothing fancy here. So else, if the snapshot else we don't want to check anything. If the snapshot has data, that means either the data has been returned, whether the user is logged in or not. If the snapshot has some data, that means the user is logged in. Then what we want to do is we want to return the login screen, okay, that we have built here. I have already imported that up here. So we also need to import main screen. Sorry, inside the screens, main screen .dar, and yeah. So I import the main screen, and if the snapshot has data, we want to display the main screen. And if there is no user signed in, then we want to return the login screen. And this is the most important method that you will need to add in this to check whether the user is logged in or not. So this is just a basic implementation. You'll need to do a lot of things to display a lot of other stuff if you want to integrate that into your application, because each application handles the sign-in process differently. So you'll have to create a custom way of displaying information to the user, but for the tutorial purposes, I think this is fine. We'll just displaying the main screen and the login screen and the loading sign. So this is what we want to do in the main.dar file. Nothing fancy here, just simple stuff. Now, what we need to see, if the user is not logged in, we need to go to the login screen, and here you can see that I have text fields here and a raised button. So I have two fields here, two properties. One is the email and password. These are two private properties. You can see the underscore before the actual phrase. So this is the Dart way of privating, making the variables private. So what I will do is here, what I'm doing is in the text field, as in the onChange property, I'm just taking the value, I'm setting the state of this email variable that is created up here. Okay, so this is just a simple thing, and you can just erase this debug print. We don't need that here. So basically, whenever I change the text of the text field, so this will update the state of the stateful widget, changing the email and password values. Now what we want to do in the raised button, in the onPressed value property, is that we want to call Firebase auth. Okay, sorry, first I need to import that. I'll just import Firebase auth, and down here in the raised button, in the onPressed property, so whenever the raised button is pressed, we need to go to the Firebase auth.instance.sign in with email and password. So this is the cool thing with Firebase. You don't really need to do much of it. You just need to implement this method here. Okay. So what I will do is I'll just take the email and the password. Okay. Then, and once we get the user value. So this value is basically the details of the user that is logged in. Okay. So there is one thing with Firebase, that whenever the user signs in or signs up, even when the user signs up, they're automatically logged in. Okay, so this then, if the sign-in process is successful, then we'll reach to this then method, and it will get the arguments of the user details, the user which has logged in. And in the other case, if the user fails to log in, then we'll get the error details. And we can just debug print them here. The error is error. So this is the simplest implementation that you can do, and I forgot a semicolon here. And here, if the user is logged in successfully, then what we can do is we want to take the user to the main screen. So for that, we'll use the simple navigator. Okay, you can check my navigation tutorial if you don't know what I'm doing regarding the navigator. You'll see what navigator is used to basically navigate between different widgets on the main screen. So I'll just use the navigator, and I'll just Basically, we also don't want to use the navigator, because what will happen is that what will happen is that the main screen will automatically just check the stream of on-off state, and when the stream changes and the user is there, so it'll open the main screen. Okay, so we'll try with this. If the login screen doesn't finish itself, then we'll do something here. Okay, so if I run the app now, just let me pause the app and run it again on the emulator. Sometimes the emulator creates issues, but let's wait and watch. Okay, so you saw that loading screen, the loading text that came just before that. Let me open the sample again, and so it will come randomly whenever the app is not being able to load that. So let me use the registered ID. Let me see, what was it? In the authentication, let me see, RBS creds. So RBS creds @gmail.com, and the password is quite simple. That is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and you sign in. Okay, so you saw that. We go to the main screen that just has the logout button in the middle. So the user is basically logged in, and we don't have to do anything but just to implement that simple method here in the main.dart file that handles it all. Okay, so it continuously checks for the auth state, and whenever the state changes, it updates the UI. Okay, so the main screen and the login screen get swapped, and everything is done automatically. So this is just the basic implementation. If you just get this method more detailed and add more customizations to it, you can get to do this method whatever you want. Okay, so now we need to do the logout section. Okay, so in the main screen you can see that we have a single button that says logout, and in the onPressed method, what I will do first, after we need to import the Firebase auth. Okay, so in the auth, what we'll do is Firebase auth .instance.sign out. So this is what you need to do, and in the then method you'll get if the sign out is successful or not. Sorry. So basically we don't need to do anything here, but what I will do is I'll just pop the main screen out. Okay, navigator dot off context dot pop. So this is just a thing that you need to do. There is not much to it. Okay, and when we run the app, you can see that we're already logged in because we logged in the previous session, and when we log out, nothing happens. I think I need to restart the app. Yeah, I need to restart the app. I'll just okay, so yeah, the app runs again. So you can see when we click the logout button, the application is logged out. It's not showing anything. I need to go back, and you can see that we're logged out of the application. Okay, so that's the simple process. I just showed you the sign out button and the login screen, how you need to set up everything. The main part of this tutorial was this method here. The state of the user is automatically handled by the Firebase, so you don't need to worry. So this method is important, and you need to just basically import the Firebase auth and use the sign in method and the logout method, sign out method. So this is simple as that. So for the recap, first we created a simple project. We created two main screens, the login screen and main screen. The login screen is a stateful widget because we need to maintain the state of email and password. And when we click on the raised button, it takes the values of those email and password and logs in the user using Firebase auth. So in this tutorial, I have not yet implemented any type of validation, But in the real world application, you'll need to check if the entered value is not empty. It contains the type of characters that you want for your database to accept, and there are much more validations to go through in the production app, so you'll check that also, and then allow the user to sign in. So in the main screen, you just have this sign out button that just signs out the user and pops out this main screen, so there is nothing to display on the screen. Okay, so I hope you learned a lot in this tutorial, and sorry for being so late in coming up with this new tutorial. I've been working on some major projects from a few months, so I've not been able to create any new videos. There will be more videos coming from the Firebase section, Firebase and Flutter, and if you want anything extra like React.js or Electron.js or anything else that you want me to teach you in these tutorials, do let me know, and do subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot. It's been amazing to see how the response of people to my tutorials, and I will try to keep coming up with new tutorials and keep teaching you new things every day. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.